Hi guys, it's Claire. I'm back today with another card making process video for you, and today I'm making a card using this number of years stamp set from Stampin' Up. This is a really pretty stamp set, and it comes with coordinating dies, which I'll show you a little bit later on in the video. I've pulled out a piece of 12 by 12 paper that I've got. It's from the Summer Sun collection, I think by American Crafts, and I've got some black cardstock, an 8 by 8 or 20 centimetre by 20 centimetre card base, and some white cardstock. So I've cut down a little square there, which is approximately 10 centimetres by 10 centimetres. And with the back, I've cut another piece as a layer or a mat, which is 10.5 by 10.5. So I always do a sort of 0.5 centimetre, 5mm border on my cards. Again, I've cut down a piece of black there to go onto the card, and I've cut down the patterned paper, the striped piece, to go on there. So all my bits are ready to go. Now what I'm doing is I've pulled out my ink pad swatch chart, and I'm trying to find or decide what inks I'm going to use. So I match up the two different colour pinks on there and decide on Memento Ladybug ink, Distress ink in Victorian Velvet, and I also grab a green that I think is going to look nice. It doesn't matter what green you use. So I'm going to start stamping on the card. So I grab my Misty. The first thing I actually stamp is just the sentiment that goes over the top of the card, and it's a little curved sentiment which says, "Look who's turning." This card is for a 50th birthday, so obviously there will be a number 50 on there, as you'll see, but this bit at the minute is just the "Look who's turning," which I'm going to stamp or double stamp in black. I think I use my VersaFine, black VersaFine ink. And like I've said before with the Misty, the good thing is that you can double stamp or triple stamp if you need to get a really nice thick black impression. So now I've moved on to doing the little sprigs of leaves. And again, still using the Misty. And you'll see here with this one, I triple stamp this, and you can see the colour change you get. With my first stamping, I get a really sort of light impression, and then obviously a little bit darker. And then finally on my third time, I'm happy with how it looks. I give that stamp a little clean off and then just move it over to the other side to do just the left-hand side of the sprigs or the leaves. And exactly the same thing again. I end up triple stamping to get the colour to look nice and dark like it does on the right-hand side. And you can really see here the colour difference. You look, when I do this first one is a lot paler. There. By the time we've done it 3 times, they look nice and even. Okay, when I'm happy with that, I then move on to stamping my little flowers. I don't need the Misty for this, so I just grab a normal stamping mat, some small acrylic blocks and the inks, and just start stamping on the little flowers. Now this stamp set comes with a selection of flowers that you could use. I think there's 4 or 5 in there, and I'm just stamping those around where I think they need to be. I end up filling this out a little bit more later on anyway, as you'll see, but this is my initial sort of, stamping. I'm popping those flowers in where they look pretty. Switch over to the Victorian Velvet and do the bigger flowers and pop some of those in there. It's a really pretty stamp set, this one. You can build this up in so many different ways, and it looks lovely, really nice. Back to that one, just adding a few more of those in until I'm happy with what it looks like. As I say, I do end up adding more to this anyway, as you'll see, but for the moment I'm happy with it. Okay, so I move on from that to stamping the numbers. These come in the stamp set as well. So I'm again double stamping these, or maybe triple stamping them until I get the colour that I'm happy with. And they are supposed to have a kind of distressed look to these. They're not meant to be crisp and perfect. But I've stamped them, cut them out using the coordinating dies, and I'm sort of eyeballing them on the card, and I decide that I definitely need something behind them. So I grab a 2-inch circle punch, which I'm going to mount my numbers on. Excuse me. Behind that, I also decide to add I've got a 2-inch scalloped circle punch, so I add that behind the plain circle. It doesn't add much to it, you can literally just see it around the edge of the circle, but it just adds a little something. So I assemble that whole bit, all 3 pieces. So you've got the scallop circle, plain circle, and the number 50, which I stick all together using Stampin' Up! Dimensionals. I trim down the edges of the dimensionals there. If you use dimensionals, you'll know that you get a thin strip around the edge, which is always very handy to cut down and use when you're doing small letters or numbers. So as I say, I speed you up through that bit as it's a bit boring, but you can see I've popped foam pads on the back and I'm just mounting that bit together, mounting my number on that circle. When I'm happy with the placement, I commit to that and then stick the whole thing onto the front of the card. Okay, next what I've done here is I've pulled out a different stamp set. This happens to be one from Avery Hour. It's one of their Christmas ones, but I'm sure many of you got any stamp set that would do this. What I wanted was just some teeny tiny little dots. And that stamp set happens to have this cluster of 3 sort of dots or berries, I suppose they would be, and also some single ones and a teeny tiny little one that I use at the end. So I'm using all the same 3 colours again, but just filling in any little spaces that look a bit empty or they look like they need a bit more colour, or, just giving it a little bit more to those, to all those flowers and leaves. So no rhyme or reason, just wherever I think there's a little space that needs filling in. Okay, what I've done now is I've gone over to my printer and I've printed out Happy Birthday Joe. This was a card, as I say, for someone who was turning 50, and it was a personalised card. So I just printed that out, as I say, on my printer. And I've now used the banner stamp, or I'm using the banner stamp on my Misty again to double stamp that. This banner comes in the number of years stamp set. And stamp that around my printed sentiment, and then using the matching die to cut that out, which I'm sticking on the card there with foam pads again, so it's raised up like the number 50. I'm now just going to start to assemble the whole card, so I'm sticking this piece onto the black mat that we made for it. I'm then going to stick my striped piece onto the black that we cut down for that. And then it's just a case of popping the whole lot onto the card. Now I did decide here that I wanted to have this as quite a solid heavy card, so I've got just a piece of chipboard, which is just old packaging. It's free. I always save bits of chipboard like this, which I'm going to stick to the back of my the main piece of the card, and then stick that onto the card base. And it's not super thick, it's probably only about 2 mil thick, but it just adds a good weight to the card and makes it nice and solid and raises it a little bit. I do the same for the centre part of the card as well, the 50. I do everything raised on chipboard. And as I say, it just makes it nice and solid and gives it a good weight. And also, if you're going to post it, it keeps it, stops it from getting crushed in the post a little bit as well. So that's it, that's my card assembled. But as a finishing touch, I want to add some gems. So I pull out these little 2 mil pink gems that I've got, And I scatter these across the whole card, going from the top left corner down to the bottom right. Now I speed you up a little bit here because I do faff around with the placement of these, but you don't need to. They really just need to look quite scattered, as I say, going diagonally across the card from the top left down to the bottom right. And when that's done, I call the card done. So this is a super simple but beautiful card. If you haven't got this number of years stamp set and matching dies, I highly recommend it. It's going to be one that's in my collection forever, I think. Yes, I hope you've enjoyed watching this video, watching me make this card. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon. Take care, guys. Bye.